All right, we're back with the world leader. Looking at live pictures right now of President Obama. He is in Havana right now in a discussion with U.S. and Cuban business leaders. He's wrapping up a panel at a brewery along Havana's waterfront right now. Now, before that, President Obama had a message for the people of Cuba, which, of course, is still under communist rule. The president held a joint address with Cuban leader Raul Castro in a joint news conference, which was fascinating. It was shown on airwaves, controlled, of course, by the Cuban government. It followed elaborate welcome ceremonies as President Obama became the first U.S. leader to visit Cuba in almost 90 years. Not everyone, though, celebrating this historic visit. CNN senior White House correspondent Jim Acosta, traveling with the president, joins us live from Havana. Jim, you know, many children of the Cold War era, which is both of us, never thought they would witness this, although I think for you in particular, the child of, Cuban immigrants, this has got to be particularly poignant.
It's an amazing moment, John, no question. President Obama is putting his foreign policy doctrine to the test, opening up a new chapter of engagement with Cuba, an old adversary that has resisted change for half a century, but is finally showing signs of progress, even if all of our questions are not answered.
It's a sign that decades-old enemies can one day change their tune. That's the U.S. national anthem being played on Cuban soil, as President Obama joined the island's ruler, Raul Castro, in Havana to close out this final chapter of the Cold War.
I have to come back to my family when I'm no longer president, and I don't have so many obligations.
While there were the usual diplomatic gestures, as Mr. Obama signed a book to remember the pre-Castro revolutionary Jose Marti, the president also delivered a tough message to the Cubans to begin respecting basic human freedoms.
That Cuba's destiny will not be decided by the United States or any other nation.
But Castro had his own set of grievances. Right at the top, the U.S. embargo strangling the Cuban economy. That still stands. But he did not answer the question on why his country holds political prisoners. Why do you have Cuban political prisoners?
Give me a list of the political prisoners and I will release them immediately.
The president is going around Congress to weaken the embargo, loosening travel restrictions on Americans who want to see the island and bringing with them big hotel company CEOs who want to turn Cuban mojitos into money. But just hours before President Obama said Cuba, there was a vivid reminder that changes here won't come quickly, as local authorities rounded up a group of protesters known as the Ladies in White. Critics say Mr. Obama is propping up a dictatorship.
Unless human rights is at the very top of the agenda, it will have a negative impact and push into the shadows the dissidents, the political prisoners that are still in Cuba today.
But even in Cuba's dissident community, there is hope. Jose Daniel Ferrer, a former political prisoner, says the president's visit can provide a much-needed push. Freed under the Obama administration's diplomatic breakthrough with Cuba, he's calling on the president to think of Reagan.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
And demand that age-old barriers start coming down in Cuba. We have to tear down many walls, he tells me, so that the Cuban people can live with dignity.
Now, the president will deliver an address to the Cuban people tomorrow. He'll also meet with Cuban dissidents here. And the White House says Mr. Obama will once again call for an expansion of human rights in Cuba. Then he'll wind down his trip tomorrow, enjoying a pastime shared by both the U.S. and Cuba, a baseball game between the Cuban national team and the Tampa Bay Rays. And, John, getting back to my question to Raul Castro, he didn't answer the question, but as one White House official noted to me earlier today, at least the question was asked on Cuban soil. John?
Which in and of itself was fascinating to see. Jim Acosta, thank you so much.